Hi, today I want to talk about living an intellectual life. I don't believe that it is reserved for those within the academic circles. I think everyone can do it. And today I want to share what I do, and I want to give you all the advice that I have. And I hope, as always, that it will be useful. So this is going to be about learning for the sake of learning and using your free time to read, write, and think. Now, first of all, and this is something that I talk about quite often on my channel, is not having the time to read or write. I strongly believe that we make time for the things that are important to us. So if you don't have time, then that means you have different priorities. But I think if you really want this, then you will be able to find the time to do it. Let's say that the books you read are an average of 300 pages and you read 50 pages an hour, which is also an average. When you only read half an hour every day, you will have finished 30 books. Now that is so much more than what the average person reads, so only 30 minutes a day will make a huge difference. So please don't think or don't believe that you don't have time. Even if it's just before bed, you can read 30 minutes and it is going to have a huge impact on your life. Alright, so I have my notes here and I have created a list of things that I think you should do when you want to lead an intellectual life. First of all, you have to be selective about the books you read. For every book that you finish and disliked, there's another book that will never be read because our time is limited. So try and be as selective as possible when picking the books that you read. I think that if your goal is to be well read, then I think you should read nonfiction, fiction, classics, ancient classics, philosophy, history, and so on. Just read as widely as you possibly can. Next is to use your time wisely and to use every second that you have. You should try to curate what you consume as much as you can. So for example, if you're on social media, try to follow people that really truly inspire you. Listen to podcasts that teach you something, that inspire you. Same goes for articles. For example, this is what I do when I'm cleaning or when I'm doing my skincare at night and getting ready for the night. I pop up a podcast or something I want to listen to on YouTube that will actually teach me something. And I will also always have a notebook on hand. So if I want to write something down, I either write it down in a notebook or type it on the computer, or I make a voice recording on my phone and then note it down later. So you could say that I am very mindful in what I consume. So what you could do is take a look at who you are subscribed to, what content that pops up in your feed, for example, on YouTube, and really curate it and make sure that you surround yourself with inspiring content. My next advice is to learn a language. I am currently working really hard on my French. I'm trying to read as many French novels as I can and try to read in French every day, listen to podcasts in French, listen to YouTube videos in French, just immerse myself in the language. French is actually my second language, but I am at level C1 and my ultimate goal is to be able to read the classic French authors in their original, and I feel like I'm not there yet. I want to understand way more than I understand now. And I want to get my French to the level of perfection just to be able to read more difficult literature in French. My next point is about traveling. When you visit places, countries, cities, and so on, make sure that you try and learn something. Visit museums, look at art, look at architecture, and try to learn stuff. I also love combining my travels with a book from that country. For example, when I go to Paris again in March, I will be still reading Les Miserables with the book club, and I will be bringing that book with me. And when I'm at a hotel at night, I will do some reading before bed. And I just love pairing my books with my travels like that. My next point is to write. So you should definitely keep a journal. If you've been following my channel, then you know that I love journaling and that I always try to get people to journal, to write about what they read. If you have never tried journaling about what you read, please give it a go. Because there have been so many moments in my life where I started journaling about what I was reading or ideas that were in my head. And from the moment I started writing them down, new ideas came. And those ideas or thoughts would never even come to me when I did not sit down to write. So I think it's really important to process information like this. And there's really something magical going on when you start to write things down. And this also goes perfectly with my next point, and that is to reflect. Reflect on the things that you read. Ask yourself questions, write them down, journal about it, wrestle with the questions, and just try to get the most out of everything that you read and every piece of content that you interact with. My next advice is to follow courses. You know, if you have been following my channel, that I am a great supporter of online courses set by universities that you can find online on their websites for free. Of course, you can also pay for online courses, but there's so much content that you can find for free nowadays, so make use of it. This year I am concentrating on Shakespeare, and I am following all the courses that I can find. Just take a look what's out there, and if you're really interested in this, I did some videos on my channel that you can check out. Next is to study art, music, and literature. Of course, classical music and classical art can be so inspiring, and they have interesting stories, and they are often made by very interesting people. My next point is a very important one, and that is to organize information. What I find really important and what really bothers me about the years where I didn't journal is I never wrote things down. So I consumed so much content that taught me a lot. So many books that I've read, and I have forgotten 80% of it. We cannot remember everything, of course, that is impossible. And this is where a commonplace book comes in handy, because you can just write things down that you want to remember. If you do not, then you will forget almost everything that you read and consume. What I find very helpful to do is to divide, for example, YouTube content, YouTube videos. I usually save my content to watch later, and I then decide what I want to watch when. When I feel capable to take notes and to actively be busy with the content, I watch educational videos and inspiring videos that I know will be helping me. And when I am tired and I don't feel like taking notes, don't feel like learning anything, when I'm consuming just for fun, then I watch those videos when I'm too tired. So I actively divide the content that I watch. This is something that really helped me in the last years. But yeah, write down everything that you want to remember, because otherwise all those hours are so wasted. You will perhaps remember some things to lose. My cat is trying to knock something off the table. He's being a villain. Toulouse! There he goes. My next advice, if you can find a group of people, I think I have cat hair everywhere. If you can find a group of people that are like-minded and that want to learn like you and are interested in literature, then it is great to have like this online community, or in real life, if you are lucky enough to have friends that are interested in literature, get together online or in real life and discuss. Just reflect on the things that you have read, and it will open up a very interesting discussion, I promise you. You will see things that you didn't see before, and it will make your reading experience much more interesting. Also, when you discuss something with someone, it forces you to voice your thoughts. Just like when you transfer your thoughts to paper, something magical happens when you start talking about what you are thinking. Next is to always be in a state of learning, and to also recognize your blind spots. There will always be areas and certain types of books, certain periods in time that you are not familiar with and that you want to improve in. Try to find those blind spots and try to give yourself some goals to work towards. These can be areas that you are less interested in. For example, my gaps are in modern literature. I've been having very bad experiences with modern novels, especially since I've been reading the classics so much, and I've been having so much trouble getting into modern novels again, and I'm really struggling. And so my resolution for this year is to read more modern novels, because I know that I am not reading widely enough. I'm reading mostly older works and history, and I really want to try and change that. So that's going to be a challenge for me this year to read, for example, some modern novels who won prizes. My next point is critical thinking. So really try to challenge yourself, and that's why a group of people is also interesting, because they challenge you to see things differently from time to time, see things that you haven't seen before, notice things that you haven't noticed before. We cannot be well read and well informed about everything. If you lack knowledge about a certain topic, then you should do the rare thing in this society, and that is to shut up. Listen to people who have more knowledge about the topic, who have studied it, and try to just be open-minded and learn. And it's also okay to change your mind, you know. When you are convinced about a certain idea, it is perfectly fine to change your mind about something, because it's a sign of growth. It can be seen as hypocritical, but I think it's a good sign. Okay. All right. What are you doing? He's being so annoying. Like he's biting in my microphone. He's biting in my camera thing. Okay, I can't remember what I was saying. I was talking about critical thinking. Oh yeah, it's okay to change your mind about something. Toulouse. My next point is don't be afraid. Sometimes we tend to get intimidated by certain books, for example, the ancient classics or philosophy, and most of the time our worries are just unnecessary. What I do want to give as a piece of advice is that the Penguin classics have wonderful footnotes. And if you're really intimidated by a certain novel, then you can also get yourself the Norton Critical Edition. It has a lot of information, analyses, introductions, and so it can really be helpful to serve as a guide for a certain piece of literature. Just, try to be comfortable with things that go over your head. There have been way too many times that I have been surprised how accessible a work was. For example, I was so afraid to start reading Homer's work, Virgil's work, the ancient classics. I was afraid of Plato. So many works I was afraid of. And I now look back and see that I shouldn't have been that worried. We often just create this barrier, this fear in our mind that a work is inaccessible and too difficult to read, but it's good to challenge ourselves from time to time, and it also makes us grow as a reader. If you love making lists like me, you can also create a course schedule. I made one for myself, and then I tackle certain courses and certain books every month. And this really motivates me to read more widely, to pick up books that I never would have picked up if it weren't for the course. He's really stealing the show, isn't he? So if you like making lists like me, then I would love to give you the advice to sit down, to go and hunt for courses that you can find online for free from on websites of universities and so on. Make your own syllabus, make your own plan. If it motivates you, plan the courses through the entire year. Give yourself books to read, books to study. This is something that really motivates me. I love to sit down and plan my own education. If you love this video, go and check out my other content as well. And I hope to see you next week. What?